Bonjour, bienvenue à la breakfast centrale. You know, I was just trying to practice my French a little.
Yes,
Good morning, welcome to breakfast central. Anyway, let's cut the crap. Morning, and thank you so much for joining us this Monday morning. My name is Joe Hansen. What's up, Binga?
And I'm Binga, bro. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We're charged, we're energized, and we're good to go. And we have many reasons for that. We're always energized anyway, but something big is happening, and we'll let the cat out of the bag today on this morning's Breakfast Central. Just keep your focus on the Federal Capital Territory, and we'll tell you what's going on there.
Isn't that the house of FCT Minister?
Yeah, that's the territory of the
Oh,
FCT
okay,
Minister.
I see.
It holds sway, and New Central is about to do something big.
Oh, something massive.
Something massive. It's massive.
Right. Don't say that word.
It's
Pause,
really,
please.
Anyway. It's really massive. So we'll give you details of that and more.
Anyway, welcome.
Yeah.
A lot happening, Binga. It's been a fantastic weekend. Shout out to Breakfast Extra over the weekend. Just in case you do not know, if you watch us on Breakfast Central Monday through Friday, make sure you carry over and follow through. You have Breakfast Extra, Judith and Mazzino, Saturday, Sunday. They also give you a full dose, but this time a potpourri of every single thing that cuts across just politics. They also come across health, wellness, and not forgetting to lifestyle and so much more. Fantastic duo. So make sure you don't miss that, because we have to highlight that, and we'll keep doing that every now and then for all those who follow us as a community and also as a team. But then again, welcome to Breakfast Central. Bing, how was your weekend, by the way? Let me start with that.
It was good. I just happened to have a little injury on my feet.
What happened? You were playing football?
No, not football. It's part of growing up, you know, when you're 40 plus. You need to have all this thing. So you need to keep feet and exercise.
Waking up is a challenge.
The other day I went to swim. It was, maybe I over swam. So I guess there's a setback of that.
Okay, I see.
If I wasn't doing this, I would have been an Olympic champion, an Olympic swimmer. But I'm glad I chose this time.
That means Michael Phelps would have had nothing on you.
I mean, nothing, absolutely nothing. But I'm sure I'll be back to 100%.
Sorry about that. It's tough. Just a quick call to the men. Last month, today's a new month, by the way, and just last month, which was November, as we spoke. International Men's Day, and we're also using this medium to advise every man, if you're 40 plus, make sure you go for a prostate cancer checkup. It's very key. It's very important. As soon as you hit clock 40 or going plus, go check it out. But then again, let's start the show on a very positive note. Even though we did hear that there were sad stories yesterday night from the evening, still budging on insecurity. It's pretty much like we cannot come on the air every morning without talking about insecurity.
It's almost like a week barely goes by without an incident of kidnapping and insecurity. But this is 1st of December. Let's see what happens this week. My prayer is that we don't have any cause or reason to report some of the stories. But like you said, we'll start off with some good news in our wake-up conversation. On November the 29th, troops of the 28th Task Force Brigade successfully repelled a large-scale terrorist attack on Chibok communities. According to the press statement by the Nigerian Army, over 300 insurgents launched a coordinated assault around 2:50 a.m. But the troops, acting on timely intelligence, swiftly took up battle positions and engaged the attackers. In a fierce 2-hour firefight, as daylight broke, the terrorists began retreating towards the Sambisa forest, only to be intercepted near Azil Bridge by 25 Brigade troops, guided by drone surveillance. A precision airstrike from a Super Tucano aircraft scattered the fleeing militants. No casualties or equipment were lost, underscoring the Army's readiness and firm commitment to national security. And this is what we're talking about. This is taking the battle to them. These are the reports we want to hear. We don't want to wake up on a Monday and hear that bandits overran a Chibok community. This is the way to go, and hopefully, henceforth, the government will give the security agencies and the armed forces all the necessary support to carry out missions like this. And this underlines the very value of intelligence gathering, because when you have intelligence, you are one step ahead of your enemy.
Absolutely.
And then you can plan accordingly. Even while they were retreating, they were still engaged by a brigade of the Nigerian army, and also there was close air support provided by the Nigerian Air Force. The Nigerian Air Force actually did release some of the footages of the air interdiction on their Instagram page, just to show the level of damage and they inflicted on this terrorist. So some good news. We're looking forward to more of this. I believe the president's marching order and a state of declaration is now, a state of emergency declaration on security is now in full effect.
That's right. It's also good news because Nigeria has been waiting for a positive story to kind of like give us some form of understanding on what the government is doing. Because it probably seems like there was a lot of talk, and Nigerians, absolutely, Nigerians have continued to say, oh, it's all talk and no action. Especially when that one that took place in Maga did happen, where the Kebbi State governor had come out to say, I do not understand. Right before the incidents did take place, you did have military personnel or security operatives who were on ground. As soon as they left, then these guys actually stung and then they attacked. So when you see stories like this, for us as journalists, it also helps us to be able to balance the equation and say, okay, fine, what was done, what has been done, and so on and so forth. There's also a critical concern.
What lessons?
What lessons? Yes, yes. There's also a critical concern as well, which has to do with the fact that a brigadier general was murdered, was killed. Talking about Brigadier General Uba. And normally, if you speak to any military personnel and the security operatives we've had on the show here, they will tell you that it is always consequential. Yes. That when you do that, you expect to see the military show you that, listen,
reprisals.
Of course, reprisals. But it seems like everywhere was quiet. Nothing happened. And then
I guess the reprisal is what we're witnessing.
Or what we witnessed. Some have tagged it to be that way, yeah. But let's see what Nigerians are saying as we kick off on a Monday morning with this story. Let's see how Nigerians are reacting to it. Just read this post, and please read it with a brain. Over 300 terrorists faced the army that was shooting for 2 hours. Now, this is where it gets interesting. 300 terrorists shooting at army for 2 hours, and the army overpowered them. Yet, no arrests made, no terrorists injured, no terrorists killed. What does that mean?
I mean, I really don't understand what it was saying. But of course, there will be casualties. Maybe the army just didn't mention it in their tweet. You can be facing live rounds, Air Force bombings, and you wouldn't have casualties. I'm sure a number of the terrorists were neutralized. But next time, because of people like the online doctor, I believe if the Nigerian army is bringing out tweets and statements, it should cover absolutely everything. And if they have figures on casualties that were lost, they should mention it. Minding Biz said, stop, too much talk and complete the assignment. Nigerian army has been infiltrated. Nigerian intelligence structure too has been compromised too. Let's talk more work, we'll do the magic, says Minding Biz. Okay. And Professional Happy Dude says, 300 terrorists, how many were killed and how many were arrested? Nigerian army. He's posing that question to them. Amen Amin says, well done to our armed forces. We thank you for your service. And Kashami says, why do you always wait for them to attack first? You have jets and drones. Why are you waiting for terrorists to leave their camp and attack you? Then you repel them and celebrate it as victory. What's really going on in this country? We also have Queen B. She says, but why will the terrorists be the ones always in the offensive and assault on the Nigerian army? What stops the military from being the ones going on the offensive and taking the battle to the terrorists and destroying them once and for all, says Queen B. Food for thought there. Now, Joe, from a public relations perspective, you need to, troubleshoot all sorts of situations. That's why you have breakout sessions and silos to, discuss some of this strategy or your communication message, poke holes in it within the organization before it's released to the public. Because once it goes out, it's out and questions will be asked. Do you think the Nigerian army should have provided information on if these terrorists, if there were arrests made and the number of terrorists killed, because they were the ones that started with the figure. They put out a round figure, 300 terrorists. So,
Winga,
it's not our business.
So it is our business. It is our business because we also, as I always go back to what we do here every morning, so we can, those who are watching us either from the government angle or from Nigerians in general, they understand that our job here is basically looking at all sphere of whatever story we are touching on. And just a few minutes ago, we're here saying this is good news, right? But now we've been able to tilt to the other side by seeing what Nigerians are saying. And we've seen another angle to the good story. And what's the other angle? Nigerians are now asking for credibility. They're now asking for you to ensure that whatever you're saying is transparent. So there's transparency, there's credibility with the story, and accountability as well. So it's basically what I would call transparency, accountability, and credibility. You can call it TAC or turn it to that way, CAT, whichever you want to say. But you see, CAT is very keen this kind of story if you look at it from a public relations point of view, and I'll explain why. Benga, when the Brigadier General was killed, sadly, remember there was a press release that was put out as well on X
that denied
it, that no, he's still alive. And eventually his life was taken in a very dastardly bad manner. And it made Nigerians who have been following the cases of insecurity lose trust completely on the information that is being passed from that certain channel from the military. So I understand why we're seeing these messages. They're like, you're talking too much.
You've casted doubts in the minds of Nigerians.
If they're 300 and for 2 hours, you're saying that there were no casualties, either from both sides.
They didn't mention it. But
they didn't mention it.
But they said on their own side, no equipment was damaged and no life was lost. But of course, they feel Nigerians should put 2 and 2 together and use their common sense there. Of course,
but should we allow them to do that this time?
Exactly. You
so
should
in this case,
state it.
Exactly.
Even if it's so obvious, you should state that a number of them lost their lives in the firefight.
Exactly.
Even if you don't give figures.
If there's a fire incident, you mentioned that, during the fire incident, XYZ persons were declared. I mean, take a look at the issue that's happening in, is it in Japan or Korea? Hong Kong, I beg your pardon. We keep seeing how the numbers were rising, even though they couldn't get a definite figure. They could tell how many people were missing. Oh, this person were missing. Some families were escaped. Oh, I have like 4 family members there. It helps for closure to understand how the event may have started and how it ended. So I think this should be a clarion call as well to the handler, the public relations officer, the news, the one who interacts with the people in terms of the public. Please try and do more. We understand that it is a turbulent time where before you put out an information, you want to be careful so you don't smear the image of the presidency, the country, and so on.
The sensitivity of national intelligence and that. I mean, this information Nigerians are asking about, there's no way it will compromise national intelligence. It's not like one of those news that you have to file under state secrets. It's open information, and Nigerians do deserve to hear, like you said. But let's move on to another story. Joe, you want to take
let's move on to another story. Still talking about insecurity. Well, we just talked about the success of Nigeria's military just over the weekend, although a few Nigerians, or a cross-section of Nigerians, do not believe it. But then again, let's tell you somebody who is talking tough. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually facing a fresh pressure to intensify Nigeria's fight against the banditry after former President Olusegun Obasanjo publicly challenged him to flush out criminal elements destabilizing the country. Now, he spoke at the 9th Dapo Okpeye annual book launch in Lagos. Now, Obasanjo warned that if the government fails to protect the citizens, Nigerians may be forced to seek help elsewhere. His remarks sparked a swift rebuttal from Sunday Dare, who's a special advisor to the President of Media and Public Relations, who accused Obasanjo of selective amnesia. Again, he's not the first person accusing him, reminding the public that Boko Haram's roots trace back to Obasanjo's own administration. Now, Dare insisted that the Tinubu-led government is committed to tackling insecurity through coordinated military and strategic efforts, firmly rejected any notion of outsourcing national defense. But I don't know if we have that video. We'd like to take a look at that video first, and then we'll take a look at the response, and then we'll dig in to see what Nigerians are indeed saying.
No matter what religion you belong to, no matter where you come from, no matter what profession, we Nigerians are being killed. And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting us. We are part of the world community. If our government cannot do it, we have right to call on the international community to do for us what our government cannot do for us. And for anybody to say because those who are being killed belong to this region, belong to this religion, belong to this tribe, and then others too are being killed, cannot be an acceptable excuse. Before I left government, I know we had capacity to pick up anybody in Nigeria who commit crime anywhere. The capacity that we didn't have then is after we have identified and located such a criminal, we have no capacity to be able to pick him up without moving on land or by air. Now we have capacity. With drones, you can sling them off. You can take them out. Why are we not doing that? Why are we not apologizing? Why are we negotiating?
These are very, very critical questions, Benga.
Very critical.
Very critical
salient
questions.
Points that he
Very.
made. Elder statesman, Civil War veteran, general, and two-time democratic president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, there speaking, visibly angry and upset, and rightly so too, looking at the way terrorism has been treated with kids' gloves. You look at Katsina State, for example, a number of local governments, more than 10, have entered one sort of peace deal or parley with terrorists. And what does that tell you? It means, like one of our analysts will always say, they've brought franchise into criminality. It means it's a business, it's an industry, because why are you negotiating with them? You're the state. The state is the supreme authority in the country. They have the armed forces, they have all the resources they can. There's no way a bunch of criminal elements should be able to hold Nigerians to ransom. And that's what former President Olusegun Obasanjo was saying there, that look, this trying times, if you cannot protect the lives of Nigerians, then Nigerians have a right to seek for help somewhere else if you don't have the capacity. And I'm a bit disappointed that there's a response.
Yeah, there's a response. Let's also see if we can put up that response. There's well, that response came from the special advisor to the president, Sunday Dare. He said, recent comments by a former president and a few habitual presidential aspirants attempting to paint the Tinubu administration as unable to protect Nigerians are not merely hypocritical but ignoble. They ignore the hard truth. Nigeria is facing terrorists, all of them, by every definition, be they international, regional, or local. Yet the very individuals who looked away when these threats first sprouted now want to sit in judgment. Nigerians know better. Well, he went ahead to highlight some of the things which I'll take a look at. One, he said Nigeria is under attack by terrorists, full stop. No euphemisms, no soft language. The people killing Nigerians, raiding villages, kidnapping innocents, blowing up infrastructure, challenging state authority are terrorists, whether they fly a foreign flag or none at all. Nigeria today confronts a multi-layered terrorist ecosystem that includes international designated terror organizations, ISIS-linked and Al-Qaeda-linked franchises across the Sahel, local violent extremist groups masquerading as bandits, cross-border terrorist cells exploiting porous frontiers, ideological insurgents, criminal terror hybrids operating in ungoverned spaces. These actors collaborate, they share money, ideology, weapons, intelligence, and logistics. Their goal is the same. But the point is, I don't want to spend too much time reading through all of his reasons.
Yeah.
He made very good points. Let's be honest. These are very true points.
Yeah.
Very
So
key.
he could have done this without insulting language.
Now that's where we come to. So take a look at point 3. We can stop here. Tinubu's strategy meets a threat head-on. President Tinubu is not facing a conventional security challenge. He's confronting terrorism in full spectrum form, both internal and transnational. His strategy is clear: kinetic pressure, modernizing military capability, intensifying intelligence-led operations, squeezing terrorist mobility and dismantling logistics, retaking and holding territory. We're going to pause here for a while and analyze that statement on kinetic pressure, which we know, Benga, whether we like it or not, as journalists, we take a look at stories concerning this, and it's not really 100%. And we'll say that because modernizing military capability, we've spoken to some security experts, and they have said here that they do not have the firepower that these same terrorists do have. In terms of,
I mean, that's debatable, because if you look at the Air Force platforms, the Nigerian Air Force, especially under the government of Muhammadu Buhari, has never been as advanced as it is. It's taking on unmanned aerial vehicles. It has Super Tucano jets. It's never been like that since independence. We have one of the most modern Air Force since the creation of the Nigerian Air Force. So I'm not really sure about that.
But in terms of the budgeting,
logistics.
In terms of budgeting, logistics.
When we're talking about fighting men, maybe the ammunition or some of those platforms don't get to them on time, or they have to ration bullets and all of that. But I will tell you that we don't. It's not.
Is it 100%?
Have more firepower than the.
But is it 100%? That what was mentioned, is it 100%?
I wouldn't say it's 100%. Maybe there's some truth in it, but I don't think they have more firepower than the Nigerian.
Anyway, I think the point of highlighting that terrorists have started under President Olusegun Obasanjo, and that he never dealt with it.
Was that necessary?
Up until now, and so on and so forth, and saying selective amnesia and the likes, and a few statements here and there. It's also debatable because you do recall that prior to when Boko Haram had indeed surfaced, whether we like it or not, there were arrests that were made. Arrest was made, even though we do recall that the leader back then had died in custody, as rightly mentioned. There are also instances where we saw a surge in insecurity during a particular time. If you say from 2009, and then you also mentioned 2015. And remember that one of the policies, or one of the things, let me use things, that were sold to Nigerians was that if a certain former president, who's late now, former President Muhammadu Buhari, gets into power, he's going to use his former general, his experience, his acumen to completely end insecurity. You can check online.
But
it's there. It's free. You see it there. I mean, that was the major selling point.
Thank God for the luxury of hindsight. What we're witnessing today is as a result of him not dealing.
Now, that's where I'm going to. So if you're blaming, let's do this bigger. If you were in school and you didn't pass a particular course because you said the teacher who was teaching then wasn't good, and then they changed the teacher, and your son still comes and didn't pass the course, and then they change the teacher again, and your son's son, who happens to be your grandson, didn't pass the course again. Is it really the teacher that is the problem, or is it that something is wrong? Exactly. So if you're blaming President Olusegun Obasanjo way back, and by the way, the internet we're enjoying today,
and then,
that's one person who brought it in.
What is wrong in accepting criticism?
Yeah.
I mean, and saying, okay, we understand your position, thanks for voicing out as an However, we're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, and let it rest there. This bandying of words, I don't think is necessary, and you're not doing yourself any good, because at the end of the day, he still went on to list the points of what they are doing to deal with the insurgency. Sometimes let's take criticism for the face value of it and
absolutely
do something about it. The former president is really concerned, and that's why he decided to voice out the way he did. You could see the passion in his voice. It was visibly angry. That why are we negotiating? I mean, it's insulting, to say the least.
Yeah. You mentioned Katsina, and then you wonder again why a former president will not be angry. We've even seen the National Assembly, an assembly that has decided to part ways with Nigeria's, in quotes, national anthem and adopted the political anthem. We've seen where they themselves now are talking tough and speaking. They're afraid, some members, and they're afraid for their lives. They're saying if the police are taking off from them, they're soft targets. Secondly, they're crying and shouting, how come the insecurity is now becoming even worse? Although we have said that from last week, National Assembly is doing what they can, but you cannot compare it to the Green Chamber, who are even doing more, spending time deliberating. It's a whole lot. So we can get that point. But then again, that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations. Most importantly, we would like you to be part of the program. Feel free to drop a comment or two on all our socials. Shout out to Omokri Chukwemeka. He says, good morning, John Benga. Good morning to you. Thanks for watching. And Larry Oloyede says, believe Nigerian army at your own peril. Well, I think we've highlighted why some have lost a little bit of trust there because of what they actually did see earlier on.
But let's take a listen. Let's look at what Nigerians are saying with regards to the last story we shared. Affidavit Professor Epon Michael says he has the authority to speak on this issue. The only person who has given Nigerians a very decent economy, largely stable and secured country. El Captain says, people forget too quickly that the roots of today's security mess didn't begin yesterday. If Obasanjo genuinely wants to help, the bare minimum is honesty about the foundations laid during his own era and the cracks that were ignored. To be fair, this government is actually running at several fronts at once. You can feel the push on the economy, infrastructure, coordinating with the military, even diplomatic alignment. It's not perfect, but it's movement. So yes, let him use his influence the way he happily does for other countries instead of shadowboxing an administration that's finally treating security like a national emergency. If the goal is a safer Nigeria, then everyone who claims patriotism should be rowing in the same direction, not trying to rewrite their legacy. Interesting point there. And I wonder why former President Olusegun Obasanjo is the most vocal of all Nigerian, leaving Nigerian ex-presidents. Candid Truth says, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has never put his immense influence behind any government in Nigeria. Rather than doing that, he would go all out to undermine them. Baba, can you go to any state in Nigeria and praise the governor there for doing well? But has anyone ever heard him praising or acknowledging the goodness in policy of any government at federal level? Interesting points to note there. And that's why I love Wake Up Conversations. You get a potpourri of different opinions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nigerians and
I like this one.
Things. Yeah.
It says, your tweet would have been better appreciated if it highlighted what the government has actually done to make the country safer than it was before. Nigeria needs real security and not politicking government, and the president must deliver on his responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And that's it. But then again, Benga, I'm sure our viewers are wondering why we've highlighted more on these stories and not touched on the bigger one, which went down over the weekend. I need to add more oomph to my voice, you know, the ambassadorial list that did come out. If you're part of those or one of those who said, what is going on? Well, don't worry, we're going to dissect that story.
And I'm also wondering why, I mean, when the initial third list came, the list of 3 ambassadors came out, they should have just combined everything, because it took less than 48 hours before this list was.
And then Nigerians are wondering if this list was what had taken 2 years, 4 months to come up with this list.
A controversial list like this.
We'll touch on that.
But anyway, we'll
talk about that, don't worry. Yeah. I like the fact that we didn't discuss it on Wake Up Conversations. We're leaving it for when we have our guests, our in-house guests. And then we have a special too. We'll be heading to Abuja. Something spectacular, like Benga mentioned, will be happening in
Something
Abuja. Massive concerning News Central. But let's bring to you our top stories on a Monday morning, December 1st. Yes, the final month in the year 2025. Ambassadorial list controversy is a conversation we're going to have. Reno, Omokri, Femi, Fani-Kayode, and 30 others make the list. Opposition condemns ambassadorial list. It's a long one, and everyone is reacting and wondering, is this the best we could come up with? News Central launches Abuja studio. Plus, there's something extra you need to know. We'll tell you all about that. And youths task lawmakers on constitution amendment. It's going on for long. Don't forget the electoral reform is also part of it. And we'll look at the newspaper front pages as well. Do stay with us. This is Breakfast Central.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated 32 new ambassadors, 15 career diplomats and 17 non-career appointees. This comes just days after he submitted 3 names, bringing the total to 35 ambassadorial nominees. The list includes some high-profile figures: former INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu, former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode, and ex-presidential aide Reno Omokri, and also the former governor of Enugu State, Governor Fani-Kayode.
Well, the nominations are now before the Senate for confirmation, but as expected, the reactions have been swift and sharp. Critics are raising eyebrows over the inclusion of political loyalists and former public officials with controversial records. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has strongly criticized President Bola Tinubu's nomination of 32 new ambassadors as well. They describe it as a continuation of what it calls a pattern of political patronage and cronyism. According to the PDP, the list is heavily skewed in favor of loyalists and political allies of the ruling All Progressives Congress, rather than being based on merit, competence, or national interest. This morning we have joining us for this discussion spokesperson to the former Vice President who should be with us. We're talking about former Vice President Mazi Paul Ibe, and also we do have a media strategist who will join us as well in the course of our conversation this morning. But first of all, let's quickly ensure that we do have the connection of Mazi Paul Ibe here with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be expecting our second guest to join us in the course of this conversation. It's Monday morning, and I'm sure over the weekend you may have gleaned or seen the lists from a very clear perspective. Do you see any red flags in the nominations, or what do you think about the lists?
Well, you know, it's taken exactly 2 years. 2 years and 2 months, over 2 years and 2 months, since September the 5th or thereabout, that President Tinubu recalled our ambassadors. And if the list that was released a couple of days is anything to go by, it means that there was no due diligence, in the search and the nomination of ambassadors. But again, we are not surprised, because this is classical Tinubu, who acts, before he actually acts before thinking. We have seen that pattern. So nobody should be surprised, about the list. And this list is it's a mockery of everything, our collective aspiration, everything that we stand for as a nation, and as a people. It makes a mockery of it, and Tinubu can do better. And like I said, we are not surprised, because he has a pattern of of acting before he thinks.
Mazi Paul Ibe, if I may come in here, I would be beyond the timeline. It took him 2 years and 2 months to nominate ambassadors. Beyond that, and when you say this list makes a mockery, in this list you have about 15 career ambassadors. Are we not throwing out the baby and the bath water? And what is it about this list that makes it a mockery? Which individuals on the list are you not comfortable with?
The nomination of Professor Yakubu is a travesty. It's a travesty, and it's an insult to, our democracy. I mean, it sends a signal, and that the Tinubu administration will reward everyone that has worked for the undermining of our democracy. I mean, this is a man who presided over an election that we are still trying to come to terms with because of the proportion of the, of the malfeasance, that, that characterized, that particular election. Yes, he's a Nigerian, but I mean, we can do better. An ambassador of our country should be somebody who represents our sovereignty. And we cannot just say because somebody is a Nigerian, and then we throw them out there, without consideration, to, the character of these persons, and I mean, controversial people. What message, is President Tinubu sending, across? I mean, look at the list of the people that are granted pardon, for example. I mean, it was only after we had raised our voices that those, that particular list was reviewed. And I won't be surprised if the same thing happens, in this instance, because like I said, here we have a president, who acts, before he thinks. So there is no reason why Professor Yakub should be rewarded, with, a diplomatic, an ambassadorial nomination. I think it's an insult, to Nigerians. And like clearly it shows that President Tinubu is focused on rewarding everyone, who has been in the vanguard, of destroying and bringing our democracy to to disrepute.
All right, let's look at this. I mean, do you think the presidency will be able to take back these nominations and review it all over again? I know you've mentioned that. I mean, we've seen this happen in recent times, from the NTA issue down to the recent one as well in terms of presidential pardon. Do you have any feeling that this would happen, or do you see the National Assembly just approving all the names even without due diligence?
Well, we've come to see this National Assembly as a lackey and a rubber stamp. Maybe for once, they can part ways, with the president, and do the noble, like I said, the ambassador of a country is somebody who represents everything, the sovereignty of that country. And well, we won't be surprised again if they decide to review, not because he's a listening, president, but like I said, because they act, before thinking. I mean, maybe now, in retrospect, they probably take a second look, and they will come to realize that, I mean, this list, I mean, it shouldn't be the ambassadorial postings should not be it should not be a dumping ground, for those whose job, preoccupation, is undermining democracy. He is advancing the interests of of the ruling party. That's not what it is. An ambassador must not necessarily be somebody who is loyal to the president. He must be loyal to the Nigerian state, loyal to the supremacy of our constitution, and not to individuals. So this list, I mean, from every indication, it should be the Senate should have the moral discipline to be able to, and to have the the courage, to review it and ensure that some of the persons listed there do not are not cleared.
Now, Mazi, what do you say to critics that say, in politics, that it's just that this is simply politics? Even if you look at the United States of America, you look at a person like Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio once described President Trump in very terrible words. Today, he's Secretary of State, I mean, the #1 foreign policy decision maker in the United States cabinet. And when Nigerians point to issues of Reno Omokri, for example, who made that ambassadorial list. They say, you know, these things happen across the world. Are there real dangers to Nigeria's foreign policy and our projection of our image when you send, you know, former political associates or cronies, or in inverted commas, rewarding political associates with ambassadorial roles? Are there any effects on Nigeria's diplomatic position abroad? Because people will say, look at the United States, for example. The government is filled with people that played one type of role, that you keep your friends close in politics. How do you respond to that, sir?
Well, you know, everything must not be about politics. I mean, we've been reminded that the elections are over, and now it's time for governance. So everything must not be viewed from the prism, of politics. And by the way, if we must learn something from the rest of the world, let it be something that is noble. We can't be learning the bad things, even no matter if it is from the United States or any other country. We're expected to, to pick the good, from those countries and apply it to our situation. I mean, if another country is nominating, for example, armed robbers, nominating, drug lords, nominating criminals, is that a justification for us to travel that road? And by the way, talking about armed robbers, the nomination of Professor Yakubu, is akin to a man aware that you are going to be at a party who came to your house to steal, your clothes, was aware of the fact that you'll be attending a party, and this thief, thief shows up at this party with the dress that he has stolen from, the clothes he has stolen from your house. That's exactly what this nomination of, Yakubu looks like to me. It is brazen, it's a travesty, and it does not represent, what's, the best that we can. I mean, Nigeria is big out there in the international community. I mean, this is the country of great men, the Professor Bolaji Akiyemins of this world, outstanding diplomats, people who have made their mark globally. For us now to be reduced to these choristers, to these partisan nitwits, it's unfortunate. And it shows under Tinubu administration, there is no low to how low, we can go.
Now,
and that's rather unfortunate.
Mazi Ibe, you were on this platform when we spoke about the presidential pardon list. You were alongside a government spokesperson who was defending the government's policy, and a few days later, that policy was reversed. And my colleague did touch on the possibility of this happening following the public outrage against this list. Do you expect the government to act and review this list, or do you have faith in Nigeria's National Assembly to stand up and do its proper oversight functions in vetting this list, which seems to tilt towards rewarding political associates and cronyism?
Well, if that happens, sadly, it's a confirmation that this is a trial by error. There are things you don't fiddle with. There are things you don't, experiment with. For how long will the Tinubu administration keep experimenting? And here again, this reinforces the narrative that they don't have the capacity. They were focused more on winning an election. They were not prepared for the governance. Now that they are there, they are continuing to play politics with every facet, everything that they have done. So the question is, why must something as important as nominating somebody who represents our sovereignty, outside the shores of this country, be subjected to a trial and error. And that's most unfortunate. And, like I said, let them not, by the time they do that, think that, oh, he's a listening president. No, that's not what it is. It shows clearly that he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's unfortunate. Why must we be fiddling, with a list? You need to be sure about it. You need to be able to do a due diligence, of the people, that you're putting forward. Why is it, like, for example, whenever Nigeria is playing a football team, why is it that we put out the best, irrespective of where they come from, how they worship? We put out the best because we want to win the game. Okay, you don't hear that on a particular Nigerian football team, there's somebody who bought a couple of players broke their legs and whatever reason they are put there. When you know that you need, men who are fit and are going to, do the best. So why must we continue to put forward our worst fit, under the Tinubu administration? Like I said, it is sad, and I don't know for how long we'll continue on this road of incompetence and cluelessness. That's what it is.
All right, you said it's...
I can't say it any better.
Okay, you've mentioned it as incompetence and cluelessness, but I'd like us to look at the response coming from other political parties and politicians. I'm going to start off with the ADC. I don't know if we could put up the response there on the screen so you can also get to see the response, how they reacted, especially to the president putting out the nominees again, especially on his account. The ADC says Tinubu's ambassadorial nomination, mere political settlement. The African Democratic Congress strongly criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's latest ambassadorial appointments, describing the list as a settlement list of political IOUs. I'd like to jump straight to that paragraph, which says the party took particular exception to the nomination of Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the immediate past chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, saying that his appointment coming only 2 years after supervising the election that brought President Tinubu into office would lend credence to the widespread allegation that the former INEC chief may not have been a neutral umpire in the 2023 election and could further undermine the credibility of INEC. And if we further go down, it says the ADC argued that it is in Professor Yakubu's best interest to reject what he described as a brazenly insensitive nomination and urged the Senate to reject it as a measure of restoring confidence in the nation's electoral process. So I want to ask you very quickly, having read this, do you think that the professor should reject this nomination? And should he do so, will this in any way restore any form of confidence, regardless of the other names that have been touted or that have been nominated on that list?
Well, if Professor Yakubu still has any semblance of integrity, I mean, having integrity and Professor Yakubu in one sentence is an anathema, but if he still has any semblance of it, I think he should say, no, sorry, no, thank you. And then, because, this nomination, what message does it, what is signal to the current leadership of INEC? What is saying to them, is that you can do a shoddy job, a terrible job, and we'll reward you. That's the message. And that's sad. We should be very careful about precedent. We're talking about building an institution. Here was a president who, at the swearing in of the new INEC chairman, Professor Amopita, and he charged them, to be fair, to ensure that they organize a credible election, an election that will be acceptable to Nigeria, free, fair, and credible. And then, not long, how many months after that, the same president is nominating a man who presided over, what has been adjudged to be the worst, reckless, irresponsible, election that we've had, in recent time. So, the Professor Yakubu, can, recuse himself, tell the president, sorry, I won't take, this job. And of course, it doesn't vitiate, the fact that, on this particular one, the president has failed, like he failed in the, the presidential, pardon. You mustn't keep flip-flopping, every day, on every subject. On security, on ambassadorial nomination, on presidential pardon. The president just keeps getting an F in everything and gets an A in politics.
Thank you very much, Mazi Paul Ibe. We do need to go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring in other guests on this very important matter of the appointment of ambassadors to Nigerian diplomatic missions. Do stay with us. We will be back shortly. Thank you, Mazi Paul Ibe, for your time with us this morning. We do appreciate your insights on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring in other guests to discuss this matter, the nomination of ambassadors to Nigerian diplomatic missions across the world. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. More reactions have continued to trail the nomination of ambassadorial nominees by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, joining us for this discussion, the second part, is public affairs analyst Mr. Nelson Ekujumi and media strategist Adele Lawal Adio. A warm welcome to you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central. I would like to begin with our guest in the studio, Mr. Ekujumi. These nomination took 2 years and 2 months, and Nigerians are wondering why did it take so long. But the nominations have finally been met. The ADC opposition parties have condemned it. The People's Democratic Party have condemned it. They say it's full of party loyalists and it's a way of rewarding cronyism. What's your response to that?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. I love the way you were very cautious in pronouncing my surname. Mm-hmm. Maybe you were cautious because you know I could take you to court over it. But don't worry, you are free. I will pardon you if you make any mistake. Yeah. Well, with regards to the condemnation by the ADC and PDP, it's not unexpected. We have a situation in our hands today whereby opposition political parties, or even if you say the president is inviting Jesus to Nigeria, without even waiting to know whether it is the real Jesus of Nazareth, the first thing they will run out to condemn. So it's allowed. Looking at the list, I think that is a very good list. It's made up of eminent Nigerians who are qualified, people who have cut their teeth in the public service, as well as those in the private sector. So the list, as far as I'm concerned, if you say it's a reward for political patronage, so be it. So long as the persons who have been nominated are Nigerians and they have met the statutory requirements to be nominated.
A name that keeps popping up when people and analysts look at this list from a general perspective is the name of the former INEC chairman who superintended over the elections that brought in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They say it's almost like a reward for helping him get into power, that it shouldn't happen. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think anybody submitting to that line of thought can be accused of infantilism, because the INEC chairman presided over an institution of state set up by law, and he had a tenure, and that tenure was explored to the fullest according to law. When you say the former INEC chairman superintended over the election, yes, he was the INEC chairman, he was just one man. So are they saying that the INEC chairman just sat down in his office and wrote results of election, or he played his role as the chief returning officer to announce the presidential election results outcome. There are others in states. We had returning officer, state returning officer for the elections. So when persons come to try and taint a man who has contributed his quota diligently and impartially while in office, because as we speak, nobody has been able to bring up one allegation with proof. Those that lost the election, they went to the Presidential Election Tribunal. The justices of the tribunal, unanimously, or are they telling us the ANEC chairman made the tribunal judges to, to vet the election?
So you support the list in its entirety?
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely.
All right. So there's no infraction. There's nothing.
Nobody has done anything wrong.
Okay, we'll come back to that because we have more questions on that. Let's go to Ayodele, who's online joining us as well for this conversation. Ayodele, please kindly share with us what your thoughts are concerning the list. The names, when you saw them, what was your take?
Well, to be honest, I didn't have any sort of reaction. I think that to a very large extent, we seem to be focusing on the ant and staring at the camel. Because the truth is, ambassadors are really and truly supposed to advance Nigeria's foreign policy objectives in many of the countries that they are posted into. But the reality, unfortunately, is that over the last decade or so, Nigeria's foreign policy has been quite dismal. And the truth is, we've not been able to spread our wings or do the things that we did in the heydays of our foreign policy, glorious days. For instance, the 1970s and perhaps in the 1990s when, we were the dominant military power in West Africa, and ECOMOG intervened in countries like Guinea-Bissau, we intervened in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, and we sort of exuded military dominance in the region, and we went about dealing with civil unrest in certain countries, providing stability across the region, and we stood for something at the time. And of course, in the 1970s, as you knew, we were the moral compass of the continent. We stood against apartheid in South Africa. We stood with the Angolans at the time, whether it was President Obasanjo at the time. We had a proper Africa cornerpiece, centerpiece of our foreign policy at the time. And that's when we had the technical core, where we exported talents to many of these countries that didn't have enough talent to run their bureaucracy. And so those were the glory days of our foreign policy. Unfortunately, we faltered, since those glory days. And really and truly, I see a lot of debate about the persons who have been appointed, their competence or otherwise. But the reality is they aren't going to be doing anything. They can't move the needle across the continent or in any parts of the world. We seem to have lost our reckoning as a country. We seem to have lost the kind of influence that once held sway in Africa. Not even our neighbors in the Sahel have any respect for us. They put together a G6. Nigeria is not on the table. The Chadians and the Nigerians do not want to sit with us on the same table to coordinate insecurity in the Sahel. So, we're just, that giant of Africa standing on spaghetti legs. And so whoever we send to many of these countries, it makes entirely no difference. So, spending energies debating on the capacity or the capabilities of the people appointed, for me, is neither here nor there. Because the real problem, the crust of the matter is, our foreign policy objective has been dismal. As a country, we've lacked the kind of reputation that we had in the 70s as the giant of Africa and perhaps in the early 1990s. And so we really can't, because if you looked at our foreign policy objective, whether it's economic diplomacy, for instance, or rescuing Nigerians abroad, or pursuing trade and investments across the continent and perhaps across the world, how are we going to do that given the current state of our country? So to a very large extent, I just think that we're staring at the ant and ignoring the camel. They will make absolutely no difference. And so it's whether you call it reward for political participation or otherwise,
if
this makes no difference.
If I may come in here, you throwing away the baby in the bathwater, because you have to remember that even in this list, you have 15 career ambassadors who spent decades in the Nigerian Foreign Service and who will, it's a balance, 15 career ambassadors and the others who haven't been in the diplomatic circle. Are you saying they won't move the needle in any way or promote Nigeria's best interest?
I think we're saying similar things here. Again, my argument is not questioning the competence or capabilities of the people that are being appointed. We can have that debate on another day, but I don't want to focus on that because it's really and truly doesn't move the needle for me. My argument is, the current state of our foreign policy as a country has been weakened over the last decade. We no longer hold the kind of influence we used to hold in the continent. We no longer have the kinds of resources that we used to have to influence issues across the continent. And again, if you go through our foreign policy objectives, which I clearly articulated earlier on, whether it's Africa being at the centerpiece of our foreign policy objective, whether it's economic diplomacy, whether it's supporting and rescuing Nigerians all across the world, you will see that our country over the last decade has failed spectacularly in all of these measures. And to expect a list of 30 ambassadors to turn around the needle in such a short period of time, I think it's going to be wishful thinking. We have to do the heavy lifting of repositioning our country, whether it's reputationally or otherwise, in terms of economic might or military might, to earn the respect that we once had in the 70s during Murtala or during Obasanjo, or perhaps in the early 1990s when the continent actually listened to what we had to say. And then we can start talking about the quality of ambassadors that we're posting to many of these countries. You ask yourself, we're dealing with a serious security challenge in the Sahel region. What are the ambassadors who are going to be posted to these countries going to do about it? We have a serious international reputational crisis, for instance. You ask yourself the question, the people that we're going to be posting in many of these European and Western countries, what are they going to do to effectively change the narrative? And then when you look at our capabilities and capacity, you see that very little is going to be achieved on that particular scorecard. So focusing on the list of 30, if I remember correctly, is not going to take us anywhere because they are not going to be able to do as much as we expect them to do, largely because of where our country is at this particular point in time. And that's why I'm not focusing on the quality or otherwise of the people who have been nominated. I'm trying to focus more on the capacity of our country, to impose our objectives, to impose our ideals on even the continent or the sub-region, not to talk more of the entire world.
Okay, Mr. Adio has highlighted the fact that whether it's 30 or whoever is on that list, it's much like it's going to be a tough one to crack in terms of repositioning Nigeria to its glory days, whether you like it or not. Those are some of the points he's made. But let's bring it back here into the studio. I mean, we initially had talked about some of the names that were on the list of nominees. Do you also believe that some of these names on the list, one way or the other, will impact negatively on how a cross-section of Nigerians view this current presidency?
Well,
based on the fact that, take for instance, some of the names are names who have been very critical about this government, but of course they're being enlisted. Also, that's one. Secondly, some of the names you have there on that list are names of people who have been in public service for years, whereas you have professionals who have been there and have not had a shot at this.
Okay, well, the fact of the matter is that these names that you said have been in public service, are these names that you have mentioned have been in public service, are they non-entities or people who have made their own, who have excelled in their own chosen field before going to public service? Somebody in public service can be a medical doctor, can be an engineer. The fact that he has spent a large part of his life serving the public does not take away his professional expertise. So that is what I'm saying. anybody taking us back to, our glorious days. Those were days when we had, continental issues to focus on. Those were the days of apartheid, when Nigeria took the front seat. Where is the apartheid going on anywhere in the world again? As at today, the reality confronting us is that the Nigerian state is focusing on how to, enhance our internal capacity. And this is an administration that has always been going out there telling people, come and invest in Nigeria, looking at how we can, change the economy for good, looking at how we can tackle insecurity. You talk about insecurity, for example. You are talking about the 70s, the 80s, when military rule was the dominant system of government. You're talking about our collaboration, our non-collaboration with states in the Sahel. These are states that have decided to, go against the rules of engagement of ECOWAS that they are a member of. Because the rules of engagement in ECOWAS is that no country will be governed other than through the ballot box. And when, these military renegades took over power in these countries, and ECOWAS were trying to lobby to, negotiate with them to ensure that they return back the country to constitutional democracy, they said no. And there's little or nothing Nigeria as a country alone can do other than through the sub-regional body. So in this case, the embassies and the high commissions that these persons will be posted to are embassies and commission peopled or that are being run by career civil servants. The ambassador is just like the political head. Don't forget. The ambassador is going to implement policies that the home government, through the foreign ministry, has decided, to implement. So I see no reason why anybody will say, because I'm a medical doctor, I've been in public service, though, that I should give other people who have not been opportune to serve in public service, a shot. No, power is not given a la carte. Any person who wants to aspire to lead the public must throw his hat into the ring. They don't beg people.
So someone like Senator Jimo Ibrahim, who's currently is sitting senator,
yes,
is also on that list.
But absolutely, if the government finds him worthy to occupy that position in conjunction with the office he presently occupies, why not? But don't also forget that the fact that you have been appointed today does not take away the fact that if tomorrow your scorecard is examined and you are not up and doing, you can be changed. So, but for somebody to become a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you and I know very well that, like we say in our local parlance, not be moi now. He must have been, he is a person that thousands of persons have entrusted their destiny into their hands to go and represent them. So that type of person must be taken seriously in whatever position he's appointed into.
Now, back to Dele Lawal Adio, away from personalities, and you've said it, that you don't want to discuss personalities. So let's talk about Nigeria's foreign policy thrust and the current situation our country finds itself in. Never in the history of Nigeria has Nigeria been threatened with invasion by another country, and I'm talking about the United States of America, where President Trump threatened to go in all guns a-blazing if we don't fix up. Having said that, you also mentioned the interesting matter of the Sahel. There's an African saying that says, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you can't go to bed and sleep. And Mr. Nelson Ekujimi here did mention that we're no longer in the 70s and 80s where we're fighting for apartheid, independence of African countries. Our policy, foreign policy thrust seems to move more into diplomatic business diplomacy and trade deals in water view. But looking at 2025 Nigeria and the current situation we find ourselves in, and knowing that the current president of the United States, the deal maker, likes quid pro quo deals, what sort of ambassador or representation do we need in Washington to project our non-aligned stand and also our association with BRICS in a way that we're not losing sovereignty and we don't give out too much and gain little, knowing how the Trump presidency works. Kwame Nkrumah said, we neither look east or west, we look forward.
Well, taking from your last point, I think we also did that, effectively in the 1970s when we pursued a non-allied objective, especially with the Cold War that was ongoing at that particular point in time. And despite the fact that we were non-allied at that particular point in time, we still earned the respect of both the West and the Eastern Bloc at the time, because our foreign policy objective was clear. We pursued it with vigor. We had quality diplomats who were posted to many of this country who pursued that vision with clarity. And you could see the successes that we achieved over that particular period of time. The second point you mentioned about whether these diplomats are going to be career diplomats or otherwise. The truth is, if you look at the list of Nigeria's star ambassadors, if you want to put it that way, over a 40-year period, you will see that these individuals, have largely been academics or career diplomats who know their onions and achieved a great deal. And very few, if any at all, were actually politicians, whether you're talking about Ibrahim Gambari, Joe Garba, Adebo Akonde, Olu Adeniji, and the likes, Joy Ogu, for instance, Atom Banefo. These were diplomats who held their own, and discharged their duties for their country, professionally, at the time where they had their assignments cut out for them. And the truth is, the point that, we are no longer facing apartheid in South Africa, or whether we no longer have the issues that we had in Liberia or in Sierra Leone, and so we cannot respond in the same way that we responded in the 70s and the 90s. The truth is, there's an underlying factor that remains consistent, across all of these challenges that we face on a continental level. But the missing link today is that Nigeria has always risen to leadership in many of those instances in the 70s and the 90s. But today we seem to be faltering in that leadership. And I ask you, for instance, you mentioned that in your introduction when you said, what kind of challenges are we facing in 2025? And I'll tell you, today, we have one of the lowest GDP per capita income across the continent, which makes us one of the poorest people across the world. We suffer one of the highest levels of insecurities and terrorist activities within our borders. Now, on these two particular challenges alone, they are not only threatening our national sovereignty or our territorial integrity, but they are also threatening the very lives and livelihoods of our people. So I throw the question back to you. What have we done on a continental region to advance the economic advantage of the average Nigerian? I'll remind you that, for instance, we have a continental free trade agreement on this continent that has been lingering for long. What kind of leadership has Nigeria provided to ensure that that free trade continental deal comes to life? Your answer is as good as mine. On the security scorecard, I ask you again, what have we done as a country in the last decade to deal with the lingering issues across the Sahel, which is directly threatening our national sovereignty as we speak today? Because the challenges that we're facing in northern Nigeria and in many pockets of our country is partly the porosity of our borders and the weakness of our foreign policy objective in that region, and our lack of ability to cooperate with heads of states, in particularly Niger, Chad, and many of these countries where this terrorists flowing from. And the argument that they are military heads of states, and so that explains our reason to step back from engaging them, I think is a bit misplaced, because even the democratic beacon of the world, United States, have deals with countries that are run by dictators, as long as it advances their foreign interest. So why aren't we on the table with neighbors who are directly have impact on our national security architecture, whose borders, who we share borders with, porous borders, by the way, who impact directly on our sovereignty? I mean, it's no excuse. So again, it goes back to my earlier argument. We have to go back to the fundamentals and get our leadership right to the point wherein we can project clarity in terms of our objectives, and we can pursue these objectives with vigor, and then we can staff many of our embassies and stations across the world with quality people that can effectively pursue these objectives. At the moment, I dare anyone to tell me and show me the clarity of what this objective is, to show me what our plan is in the Sahel, to show me what our plan is on an economically diplomatic front, to show me what we are projecting across the entire world. And then, we are here bickering about the people who are going to be doing what. It means nothing to me, because at the end of the day, even if you staff it with me, Nelson, and you, nothing is going to change fundamentally, because we're neither here nor there. We're not cold, we're not hot, and what happens, as the good book says, we're often spit out of the mouth, and that's where the real problem is. It's a question of leadership, and we have lacked that for the last decade.
All right, so I think we can get a clear understanding here that your stance is made clear. No matter what the names are, whoever is going to take on this role, leadership is lacking, and that has trickled down to the impact on how Nigeria is actually progressing on the continental and international phase or stage. But let me come back to Mr. Nelson in the house, here with us in the studio. Let's quickly just touch on one last thing, because this is, we're almost out of time. The nominees are out. It's going to go to the National Assembly, the Senate. They take a look at it. Nigerians are also concerned that the Senate is, they've tagged it as a rubber stamp assembly, the 10th, whereby scrutinies are not done, questions are not really asked. Rather, it's just a case of, okay, it comes from the president, therefore, let it go. And by the way, take a bow and move on. And don't forget, too, that the national anthem in the assembly has been replaced with a political anthem as well. So many have said, because of all these things, the indices are indeed showing that whatever has been sent to the National Assembly is as well as approved.
Well, thank you very much. It's unfortunate that we live in an era where when people see a man with his wife on the streets showing love to one another, they say in our local language, I'm a Yoruba man, they will tell you, Otifunle Foje. He has given him vegetables, that the man has become a jellyfish. But when they see the man, every morning when they see the wife beating black and blue with his face, swollen, oh, strong man, he's showing his masculinity. That's the type of society we are. When institutions of state perform their responsibility, oh, rubber stamp. Don't forget, when any list gets to the National Assembly, there's always a committee that will go through that list before the list comes back to the House for a general debate. So that list, or whatever bill the executive sends to the National Assembly, a lot of persons, either through mischief or through ignorance, they just think when a bill or a list comes from the president, that it will just land on the table of the Senate President or the Speaker of the House of Representatives and he throws it to vote. Absolutely not. That is not how legislation works. It goes through a lot of processes. A committee will be started with that responsibility. It is that committee that will put the recommendations, and it will come to a vote in the National Assembly. So when persons have decided that because the National Assembly today is on the same page with the executive, that it has become a rubber stamp, oh well and good, so long as the National Assembly is focused on its responsibility of collaborating and cooperating with the executive and the other arm of government to deliver on the dividend of democracy to the Nigerian people. I'm home and dry with that
so
appellation.
Your expectations are that all the nominees that are sent to the National Assembly should pass without
No,
exception.
I've just told you the names that have been sent to the National Assembly will go through a screening committee. Yes. So it is not for me to tell the National Assembly that is the highest lawmaking.
From your own point of view,
yes.
Look at your glance at the list.
Yes.
There shouldn't be any problems with any of the nominees.
I expect, except if there are some information that I'm not privy to, yes. Because I know the National Assembly will not just take the list on its face value and just say, we take a bow. Absolutely not. We must be factual when we come to public space to discuss, and not run with the mob.
Well, don't forget too that, you just mentioned the committee. It was the same committee in 2017 during Muhammadu Buhari's, the late president, who had also appointed elected nominees into federal government agencies who were dead.
That is to show you the human error that can happen at any point in time. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If somebody who is dead has been mistakenly included in that list, on the day of screening, when they call his name, at least the dead man will not wake up to attend the screening. Definitely his name will be struck off the list. So I don't think that should be a problem, except if you are looking for a society people by saints, where people cannot make errors. And I don't know, but I believe such can only exist.
Do you think there will be a reversal? Just because we've seen many reversals. Reversal of the NTA issue, reversal of the presidential reversal on Dubai issue, and so on and so forth.
Any government policy, any responsible government, no decision of government is cast in gold. A government can take a decision this morning and, factors or reasons change within a twinkling of an eye. Don't forget, as a government, information comes to the table every second. Just like I told people, I've been an election observer in the last almost 3 decades now. And I've told people that, look, when election, on the day of election in the morning, immediately they deploy materials. They are taking information from every quarter. If there's any reason to believe the election will be compromised. You remember what happened in 2019 or 2015? Where in the middle of the election was called off. Because of the information that came that, look, the election is not going the way we planned. So don't assume because you are a government or because you are human. It is only, like we say, I'm a Yoruba man. Let me also remind you, it is only God that we say is Awima Yehu. The one who talks and does not change it. But if it is man, except you are deluding yourself.
Okay. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Nelson Epujumi. And also, Ayodele Lawal Ado, we did enjoy your insight and analysis on this subject. And we wait to see how this pans out. If all of them will get the clearance from the National Assembly. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're watching Breakfast Central. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we have more matters to unpack, and of course, the big story, yes, concerning us here at News Central. We'll let the cat out of the bag when we return. Do stay with us.
So the police have arrested 4 persons in connection with a Russian recruitment exercise in South Africa. We've tried bringing you updates on that story, but I think we can't do that right now as our correspondent Bongani Siziba joins us live from South Africa. Good morning to you, Bongani. I initially had asked what was or could be the motivating factor to these 4 men taking a leap of faith and making such decisions.
Yes, a very good morning to you and also good morning to our viewers. I think it's the unemployment rate that is here in South Africa, not only in South Africa, but what we see in all African countries where the youths, they spend their days sitting, they come from the university, they can't get employed. So when opportunities like this come by, most of them, they will take it because they will be looking forward to get some income, maybe to take care of their families. But we are here at the Magistrate Court in Cape Town Park, where we are waiting for the proceedings of the 5 that were arrested over the weekend. That includes a journalist. We understand a seasoned journalist is also among, and she has been mentioned as one of the people who were recruiting these individuals. We also understand that there are 17 individuals that are in Ukraine fighting on the Russian side, and there are allegations that they were recruited by these people, and also the former president's daughter, that is Duduzile Zuma, is also among the people that have been fingered to be recruiting these people. And we understand that they have been charged with contravention of regulation of Foreign Military Act of 1998. So they will be appearing in court this morning so that we can hear what their charges is. And also the police and the Hawks are still, the investigations are still ongoing. We understand that there are also many people who have been recruiting South African citizens to Russia. But we also understand that Duduzile Zuma has also resigned as the Member of Parliament of the MK on Friday. also saying that she was misled. She didn't know that these people were going to be recruited to the Russian army. But what we understand on these videos that we saw from these individuals that are in Russia, some of them were saying that when they got to Russia at the airport, they were welcomed by former President Zuma's daughter, Duduzile Zuma, at the airport, and that she is part of the syndicate that have been recruiting South Africans. But also family members came forward telling us, or rather telling the media and the South Africans how their family members were recruited, and also Duduzile's sister also filing a report there how her sister recruited these individuals. So we know that these citizens, 17 of them are in Russia, and we understand that 2 of them died. But this information rather is not yet confirmed. It was just the videos from those that are in Russia that was just circulating. But as we wait for the court to begin, we'll see. We still don't know who exactly is on the dock. We only know that 5 were arrested, including a journalist.
The journalist who's been involved in this as well, and fingers are being pointed at the former, I'd say, president's daughter. Can you highlight more on this? How is she involved, or possibly, or allegedly involved? Is it a case of possibly having a connection with either of the 4, or there's a long standing in this situation concerning her?
So basically, Benga, the information that we have is like these people were being, according to Duduzile Zuma, these individuals were being recruited to Russia to go for training so that they can come back and be security for the MK party, that is the Jacob Zuma party. That is what we understand, and that is what also Duduzile said. So that's why she says she was misled. But however, we also hear that when these individuals arrived in Russia, she was there at the airport welcoming them. So we don't know exactly, like it's being said that she was part of recruiting these people. However, according to her, she says she was misled. However, she deposited an affidavit on Friday. We still don't know the contents of that affidavit, what she's saying in that affidavit, but for now, all fingers are pointing at her and other members of the MK party. And since she has resigned as the MP of the MK party, it means that these allegations might be true or might not be true. But we wait to see once we get inside the court if she will be part of those people that are in the dock, Benga.
All right. Thank you so much, Bongani Siziba. We'll sure look forward to an update on this story. Quite interesting, one that we should find an end to. Thank you for your time, and we'll circle back in the course of our news programming. Thanks. Great and very interesting story. And we look forward to that interesting one, which will be coming up pretty soon. But in the meantime, let's also tell you that away from South Africa, but still in Africa, Africa's quest for stronger and more resilient health systems is taking shape in Dakar as experts have converged on the city in Morocco to set a 2030 vision anchored on prevention, access, and innovation. The Mohammed VI Foundation for Health and Sciences says that the continent must rethink how it prepares its health workforce, how it manages data, and how it delivers care to millions of citizens. Take a look.
La déclaration de Dakhla, elle nous trace un itinéraire de progrès vers 2030. 2026, mettre la prévention et la formation au cœur des politiques publiques. 2027, concrétiser l'accès aux médicaments, vaccins et l'intégration de l'intelligence artificielle.
Il y a une mobilité des malades entre les pays subsahariens et le Maroc. Et donc cette façon de faire nous oblige évidemment à former des étudiants qui parlent anglais, qui sont anglophones.
Aujourd'hui, nous vivons une nouvelle ère de médecine où la médecine est devenue technologique, connectée et surtout accessible grâce à ces avancées technologiques, grâce au développement des technologies. On parle de l'IA, on parle de la data, on parle de la digitalisation.
Well, we cannot wait, Benga, for the health sector, not just in Nigeria, but Africa, to actually reach a peak where every citizen of each country will benefit from that.
Absolutely. But let's tell you what's going on in Nigeria. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the FCT administration will partner with private operators to ensure smooth and secure transportation services across the nation's capital, Abuja, particularly as the bus terminal at Central area nears completion. He spoke after inspecting ongoing infrastructure projects, including the Central Business District Terminal and ongoing construction works at Pai Gomani Yangoji Road in the Kwali Area Council of Abuja. Wike says the administration will begin operations with government-owned vehicles before onboarding private partners, adding that the initiative will help curb one-chance activities through easier vehicle identification. He also expressed satisfaction with work at the CBD terminal, but criticized the slow pace and unauthorized variations on the Pai Gomani Road project, warning that all officials responsible will be sanctioned.
The contractor is bent on finishing before the end of the year. I believe by that time the buses, the vehicles were procured for the takeoff of those terminals would have also arrived. And then again we keep to the road from Pai to Gomani. Frankly speaking, I'm not too impressed, because that road was awarded before the A2 to Pai, and we have commissioned that. We were partnered with private individual, but for now, government had to put in their own contribution so that we can start off the management, the operation of those bus terminals. And all we painted is Abuja color. That again will try to eliminate the one-chance syndrome, so that you don't enter the vehicle that you can identify. So that's one of the things. So private people are also going to be part of it, but it's our own contribution before that starts.
Great to see wonderful strides and developments happening in Abuja. Finally, a central bus terminal in the Central Business District. The plan is to onboard is to use government vehicles. I'm sure a lot of them will be CNG powered to move people during their commutes to different parts of the city, and then they onboard private vehicles later, because moving around in Abuja is either you're using ride-hailing services or you get into those shared taxis, which a lot of times people have been victims of one-chance operators. And it's good to see a modern city like Abuja finally doing something. I mean, they have train system, but it doesn't cover many areas in the Federal Capital Territory, but using urban mass transportation to help ease the burden of commuters in the Federal Capital Territory. So kudos to the minister. He complained about the slow pace of work, and I believe when you give projects, you have timelines. So I trust the contractors will not want to see the other side of the FCT minister. That's great. And it's not only the bus terminal that is coming up in Abuja that is new. There are also other developments.
Don't forget that we had a guest.
New Central, yes.
We had a guest who came here on the show and he highlighted that it was in Abuja. Like Abuja is, he talked about it needing to be clean. Abuja needs to be cleaned. I think whether we like it or not, there's a transformation that's coming, and this is a major one. This is like keying into one of the major challenges people in Abuja are faced with, which is a one-chance situation.
Yeah.
And if you're able to harness a systematic transport system, which better still integrates into what you already have now, it will in any way help to reduce the one-chance operators, because they wouldn't really have the opportunity to carry on their very wicked and nefarious acts, if you put it that way. But then again, this is a good one. We hope that other states will also follow through. I think the FCT minister, whether you like it or not, you must give him his flowers when it comes to ensuring that he's dogged in getting his job done. Although highlights
getting results, but others,
getting
my
results.
question is method.
Now, exactly. So the method in which he does it, that's left to you to decide. But also, you would want to look at it from the other side. If he weren't a politician and he was just focused on doing more, I think whether we like it or not as well, like we mentioned last year while we're reviewing the ministers who have done absolutely well, he'll be one of them.
The top performing ministers.
Yeah, one of them that you would keep highlighting. The president had also said that during the presidential chart that, you know, he's one of his
and on criticism,
yeah.
the president defended him, saying that Nigerians don't like to comply to
paying taxes,
to rules and regulations.
And that's what the minister did just this weekend. You know, he had revoked the lands belonging to the wife of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Patience Jonathan, that of a former 7 military chief, talking about, what's his name, T.Y. Danjuma. He also had revoked properties belonging to, I think, Obasanjo as well, former President General Olusegun Obasanjo, and many others. He just revoked. He had given them, remember, he had given them a timeline and said, listen, you need to pay for, you know, the land use, the act and everything. If you don't, then you will have your lands. And the paper is revoked, and that has happened. But we're waiting to see the reaction to that, because there seems to be no response yet, at least one that we've seen as genuine. What we've seen online is just maybe a bro-bag talk here and there, but nothing concrete as well in terms of press releases from these former serving presidents. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what the newspaper headlines are saying, but that will be right after we look at the breakfast headlines. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Sure, you saw a glimpse of what to expect. Expecting the breakfast headlines? Well, yes, the big headlines is what we are about to bring to you right now. Benga, I think you should tell them.
Yes, a new central, is entering a defining chapter. This year has been marked by rapid growth, bold market expansion, and renewed Pan-African vision. In this new chapter, we're capping the year off on a very high note. We're extending our footprint once again with the launch of our new broadcasting studio in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. This marks another major step in our mission to tell African stories with greater reach and impact. At the heart of this progress, shaping New Central's evolution and empowering the talented team behind it, is a purpose-driven leader with exceptional strategic insight, the managing director and editor-in-chief of New Central Television, Kayode Akintemi, affectionately known as Mr. K. Mr. K, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central, and congratulations to you and the entire New Central family on this momentous occasion.
Absolutely wonderful, Benga. I remember on this day 2 years ago, I think the three of you, including my darling Olive, who's on leave at the moment, the three of you interviewed me, and we talked about the fact that I was taking over the mantle of leadership of New Central exactly on the 1st of December 2023. So it's exactly 2 years on, and we have done some amazing stuff. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of every single member of my team. You guys have been truly, truly amazing. I can say for a fact that I have the best team in television in Nigeria today without a doubt. I wouldn't want to take anybody from anywhere else. I'm happy with the team I have. So congratulations to every single one of you. The last 2 years has been amazing. And today we're here launching this, which I'm so happy that we're here to talk about the fact that we can now broadcast from Abuja, live from our own studio. And it's a place that a lot of people are going to love coming to, because we're going to make this the Mecca for all Nigerians. You know what we always say, that we've got our finger on the pulse of the nation, and we want to make sure that everyone come here and they can be a part of what we're trying to achieve here.
But Mr. K, as we fondly call you here, Benga, let's not be jealous. I mean, we saw the beauty and the aesthetics, but we're proud in Lagos. But anyway, in as much as we're moving towards thinking we should be there now, can you quickly tell us, can you give us an overview of the organization's expansion journey so far? I mean, we've seen Go TV as well. Can you share more with us?
Before I even do that, let me let you guys know that by the grace of God, I would love to have a situation where the three of you let Olive come back from leave. Even if it is just on a Friday, I would love to have all of you here in Abuja, and you will present our breakfast show from Abuja. I'm hoping that we can do that before Christmas, and you have your guests right here in the studio as well. So that's number one. Then number two, the last 2 years has been amazing. It's been nothing short of just miracle and incredible grace and favor from God. And my mantra often is, gratitude is my attitude. I'm forever grateful to God for everything that we have done. I know that you guys have done amazingly well. You've worked your butts off. You've worked really hard. But I also always give the glory to God for everything that we have been able to achieve in this organization. So within the last 2 years, yes, we've been on DSTV just before I took over. And shortly after that, we've been able to go on Go TV. We've been on Star Times as well. Our YouTube channel has grown. Our Twitter has become an incredible place for conversation for a lot of Nigerians. We have launched our town hall meeting that we have taken across the nation. We've been in practically every geopolitical zone in Nigeria with our town hall meetings. We've done, I think, 13 or 14 of them now. And we've even done 2 out of those 14. We've done 2 in New York during the UNGA season, United Nations General Assembly season. We're expecting that in 2026, we will most definitely, by the grace of God, we will do one in the UK and probably go to other parts of the world as well to get Nigerians in diaspora. But the one that I'm really excited about is the one that we are planning right now, which is the conversation with Africans in diaspora who are based in South Africa. We're working on that. We're going to have a town hall with all Africans. We're already talking to people from different parts of Africa, from all the regions of Africa, from the north to the west, to the east to the south of Africa. We're talking to all of their diaspora organizations, and we're bringing them together in South Africa. And the theme for that one, which is not, let me give you guys an exclusive. The theme for that one is the spirit of Ubuntu. And you know that the South African says that there's a spirit of togetherness, something that brings us together. And so many people have talked about the fact that when we're together, we're stronger. And Africans have got to come together so that we can be stronger. The good thing is, in the last 2 years, we have made sure that we have planted ourselves firmly in Nigeria. Our root is getting deeper. And we're expecting that in the coming weeks and months and years, the root of News Central in Nigeria will get so deep that there is no way anything or anyone can shake us. And that's exactly our plan, to be firmly and deeply rooted in Nigeria, but also very clearly and visibly Pan-African in everything that we do, so that our wings and our branches and the fruits that comes from this massive oak tree, from this big tree that we're planted, that we're growing and nurturing, will be one that's got branches in every part of the continent and tell the African story. There will no longer be a chance for a single story to be told about Africa, because we will tell the story of our continent, we'll tell the story of our people. That's our job, that's our lifestyle, that's what we want to stand for, that's what we want to be known for. So that's really, in terms of where we were and where we're going, that's it summarized.
Find the right words to address you. So I'll go with Mr. Akintemi, because New Central is it's a great place to work, and we have this very nice relationship with our MD. We call him Mr. K, you know. But let's get back to business. New Central, like you said, we've done great things in the last few years, and the station expanded into new markets. Go TV, Channel 23. Like other things you've mentioned, the town hall, global town halls that we've had, and of course in every corner of the country. You know, when people think about News Central, they say, okay, what else can they do? Now in the FCT, we're launching our studio today. My question is, what informed your choice of these, and what keeps you going? Because News Central comes up with a new program or new initiative, and people are like, okay, they have no more tricks in the bag, and you shock them and come up with something else. So today is 1st of December. What are we going to be looking forward to in 2026, and what informed your choice of a studio in Abuja?
I have always thought from day one, from the moment I took over being the managing director, editor-in-chief of News Central, I've decided that definitely, without a doubt, we need a base in Abuja. We had a base in Abuja, but it wasn't an easy access location for a lot of people. So we decided we've got to be right here at the Churchgate Tower, where we know that there is nobody in Abuja that won't be able to access this. Wherever you are from, it's so easy. It is called the Central Business District, the Central Business Area in Abuja. So it's so easy to get into this place. We're on the 10th floor right here. And it's a place that we know that people will come to easily. The reason for the choice is because you can't be a television station that is truly Nigerian and very, very clearly working across the country, and you don't have a base in Abuja. Every business is looking to have a northern headquarters in Abuja. And so that informed our decision to make sure that we do this. It's very important. Secondly, this is something that a lot of people will definitely know that it resonates with them. Whenever we are inviting, now you guys have gone through this experience. Every time you're inviting any guests to come, either as an analyst or as a government officer, and they're working in Abuja, and you ask them to come and feature on the station, the first thing they're asking you is, where's your studio in Abuja so that we can go there? That's the big question that a lot of people are asking. But when you don't have a place where they can go to, then it becomes difficult. You're subjected to the whims and caprices of the network, where you know that 1 minute the network might work, the next minute the network might not work. So we don't want to be in that situation where we're dropping calls every time, the audio is bad, the quality of the video is questionable. I mean, look at what I've got behind me. This is so beautiful. Abuja is an amazing place. So there's no reason for us to not show off what we have in Abuja to the rest of the world. So that's the reason for it. In terms of what else we're looking to do in that particular issue, I am hoping and I am praying. And they said that hope is not a strategy. So that means that I am also working with my team. All the directors, we're thinking about this, we're working on this, we're planning towards it. We're looking to raise enough revenue that will make it possible for us to say we have strong presence in the epicenter of every single one of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. This is our statement for 2026. We've already started with the North Central Zone. This is Abuja. So we now have to cover 4 more zones during the course of the next 4 quarters between January and December of 2026. It may not be as elaborate as this, but it's got to be one that enables us to be able to do business in a very different way.
Let's look at content and storytelling, especially the editorial impact so far. As we scale, how do you think News Central will be able to maintain the quality and authenticity of our storytelling? Because we're very unique, whether you like it or not. And our callers here on Breakfast Central who call in regularly can attest to the fact that News Central, you guys are fantastic and you are completely different from what we have in the cookie jar.
This is one of those things that when I meet people in government and people outside of government, and we have conversation from time to time, whether it is physical meeting or virtual meeting, I always tell them that we're very, very intentional about what we do. We're not here to criticize government, and we're not here to be the praise singer for any government. We're not here to tell the people's story, because what we are doing is extremely unique. We're making this platform a platform for the people. And that's why our reporters across the nation, they talk less and allow the people to talk more. And that's exactly the story that we want people to hear, the story of Nigerians. If Nigerians in certain parts of the country are prospering, we want Nigerians and the rest of the world to know. If they are struggling and they're hungry, we want Nigeria and the rest of the world to know. And the same thing is applying bit by bit because of what we're doing in different parts of the continent. South Africa, for example, we have a reporter there, and it is what we're doing on a daily basis in South Africa to get South Africans to know what is happening in their country and to get the rest of Africa to understand what is going on there. Our programming is reflecting this in terms of our reportage, in terms of our coverage of what's happening in different parts of the country and around the world. And also, we're going to start today. This is the big story today. We're going to start a program called 6th Edition. And that's going to be one show, that a news program that a lot of Africans are going to find very, very interesting, because the style, the way, the content itself, the 6th edition is going to be one amazing program that is newsy, but it's going to be fast-paced. It's going to show that we're serious about journalism. We're not playing. We're not here to talk. We're here to do proper journalism. If anybody is unsure what that means, please just Google what it means to do proper journalism. It's one where stories are told in a way that is unbiased, that is representative of what we are called. We are called the fourth estate of the realm. We're not part of the judiciary, we're not part of the executive or the legislature. We're the fourth estate of the realm, and we are mainly absolutely independent of government. And we reflect that in our reportage. We reflect that in the kind of stories that we tell. We show that Nigeria is growing when it is growing. And we show when its growth is stunted or stalled, we show that as well. We speak the truth to power. We don't allow anything go and get swept under the carpet. That's our job. And we are very, very focused on one thing that most TV stations and media houses are not focused on. And that is the one that is called developmental journalism. We're interested in the development of this continent. We're interested in driving the agenda of the continent. Yes, we're starting from home because Nigeria is home for us for now, but we're looking to spread our branches and tentacles across the continent so that we can say that the AfCFTA is going to be effective and efficient strategy and policy of government across the continent. Nigeria is home for us for now, but we're looking to spread our branches and tentacles across the continent so that we can say that the AfCFTA is going to be effective and efficient strategy and policy of government across the continent. How do we do that? By consistently telling the stories that makes it possible for every government to know that they're not going to get any respite, they're not going to get any rest until they take the actions that is required that will make it possible for Africa to become one continent and one that is able to have the level of impact around the world. There is nothing stopping us except ourselves. Just like I will say to all of you guys, News Central is not contesting or competing against any television station in Nigeria. We're not competing against them. We're setting new standards. We're doing things differently. We're very keen on being our own man. We're creating our own rules. We're building our own goalpost, and every single time we're scoring. Anybody who's not happy with that, yeah, I can't help them. I can't help them. Like we say in our different meetings, we're here to create what we know we have the God-given right and capacity and the ability to create. And we're telling a different kind of story. So we're here to just make sure that we do our job well. We play the game, we know it is the right way, and anybody that wants to copy, they're welcome to copy. And they're welcome to follow us in doing that journey that we have started, which is the journey of developmental journalism. We are going to see Nigeria grow. It's a lifetime commitment for me personally and for every single one of you as well. So we're working as a team to make that happen. Copy. And they're welcome to follow us.
From our conversation so far this morning, one can tell that News Central is very bold and ambitious in its plans. And but looking at future outlook and the business and growth outlook, because at the end of the day, it's still a business. Bills have to be paid. We have a South Africa presence, and you also talked about spreading our tentacles. You mentioned the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. With this new Abuja expansion and the plans for the future, what new revenue opportunities are emerging from this expansion? You just returned from Senegal, and you've been across the continent a lot and across the world this year. In your interactions and your dealings with people, is there an opportunity for News Central to expand beyond where we are now?
The entire world is our oyster. We have the opportunity to do incredible things that nobody else have been able to do. And the reason for me why this is something that I'm absolutely certain we can do is because those who can dream really big, they do some really amazing things. In fact, some people would say it's miraculous. There's another thing that I often share with people. I say to a lot of people that if you can see the invincible, you can do the impossible. And what we see, what I personally see, is a television station that can spread across the continent like no other. Fortunately for me, 35 years of being in the industry in and outside of the continent of Africa, 35 years then means that I've been able to see TV stations try to spread and fail. I've seen those that have tried to spread and succeed. I have studied what they have done for them to be able to succeed, and I understand now what needs to get done so that we're not in a situation where we're spreading ourselves too thin. You mentioned Dakar. Yes, I was in Dakar recently, just over the last few days, in Senegal. And it was during the Ideas Africa Network conference that was focusing on integration of the continent through finance and business. The economy of the continent is in a situation where it could be so much better. It could be so much better. And there is nothing stopping us. If only we will integrate, if we will only align and collaborate, there's nothing stopping the continent from opening the border. I flew from Lagos to Dakar via Abuja, and I did not require any visa. I did not go and queue for a visa. And that should be something that should happen across the continent. Anywhere you want to go. You want to go to South Africa tomorrow, you pick up your passport, you get on the plane, and you get to Johannesburg, or you get to Cape Town, or you get to anywhere, Durban, Pretoria. As soon as you're landing, there is no problem. You get in there and you're able to do your business without any problem. This is what happens in Europe. Is what happened in Europe. Why can it not happen in Africa? What's stopping us? There's nothing stopping us. We have the opportunity to do this. And the job of News Central will be to be the platform that helps to drive that agenda, that helps to shake things up and force the hands of people in government to take the initiative and do the things that is necessary to be done. So our job is well cut out for us. Our growth across the continent is definitely guaranteed by the grace of God and by clear facts that we're not just hoping, because like I said earlier, hope is not a strategy. We're putting together clear plans in terms of how we want to grow this business. We're now in Abuja. We're expecting that we will spread our tentacles, like Benga said, to other parts of the continent. And we're also looking at the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria to have better spread, to have more reporters that will cover the stories. There are areas in Nigeria, don't even talk about Africa. There are areas in Nigeria that are completely uncovered, that are not covered by any journalist. When this problem started in Magu, our reporter, Jamil, was there. I don't know whether you have the video of how the people of Magu, how they celebrated the fact that for the first time, they've never seen a television station come to their village. Never seen a TV station. So they were jumping and singing and dancing, thank you, Mungo de News Central, Mungo de News Central, that they've never seen a TV station come. So there are so many people that have stories to tell in Nigeria. There are places that are reporters, the likes of Rukaya Jibia. Rukaya has been to so many villages in Katsina, in Zamfara, and even in a place like Sokoto. They go there and they discover that they have never seen a reporter in their lives. And they have so much story to tell, and the government need to hear them, because all they ever see is when it's time for election, they see some people bring ballot papers and they vote. And some of them have no understanding of what they're even voting for. So they're just there. In some cases, they collect money. In some cases, they're just being cajoled by people who are so-called leaders in their different communities, that this is where to put your finger. They don't understand why they're doing it. And it's our job to make sure that they understand, that that understanding is there. And we're not going to leave this to any other TV station. We're taking it upon ourselves, and we're holding this by the scruff of the neck, and we're going to do everything, because we know that if we do this, we'll get the numbers. And for the likes of Rosemary, my director of commercial and corporate communications, she's always saying to me, MD, you know that if we get the numbers, we'll make the money. Our job is to get the numbers. I'm supposed to make sure that if we get the numbers, and once we get the numbers, the money will come. So we're not begging anybody for anything. So long as we can do our job, so long as we can make sure we reach the unreached, so long as we give them the opportunity to tell their stories, then we're in a good place. And Nigeria will be the better for it.
And actually excited and cannot wait to start enjoying all the programming and the broadcast that will be coming live from the Abuja studio. Also to be a home to all the important personalities, definitely, who will be dropping by to speak with us. I want to say thank you so much, Mr. K, as fondly called here in the office. We know you'll be joining other programs as well to speak with them on what to expect, and we cannot wait to have like a cross-section or broadcast coming from the FCT and also here in Lagos.
Thanks for your time, Mr. K. We look forward to
you guys
to having you back in Lagos
very soon. You guys just have to discuss with Tolu, your director of programs, work it out with Tolu, and then involve the other departments, and you can just ship in to Abuja for, even if possible, even come and do the show here for a whole week. So this is beautiful. Who would not want to be in Abuja, for crying out loud? Who wouldn't want to be here? So there's nothing stopping us from doing the impossible, so to say. So I'm looking forward to having you guys in the capital city of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And once again, I will say thank you to every single member of staff of News Central. I will say thank you to the board of News Central for incredible, amazing amounts of support and giving me the free hand and giving us the free hand to run this professionally without any kind of interference. And we're committed to make sure that this will be done and done professionally, fairly, justly, without embellishments, without changing anything or telling any fake story. We have a commitment to do that. And we say thank you to the Federal Republic of Nigeria for listening to us. Thank you to Africa. So we're saying thank you to everybody. But watch this space. We have only just started. We're not anywhere near where we're going. We've only just started. So watch this space.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Kayode Akintemi, MD, Editor-in-Chief, News Central Television. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's been a fantastic one. I'm looking forward to be closer to the people, closer to the FCT, and I'm sure the viewers cannot wait to see the tons of dignitaries and guests that would have graced the studio, and then we can talk one-on-one. Of course, continue to dissect some of the very important studios. For me, I cannot wait to see the FCT minister there so that he can
I'm looking
go ahead
and
and
Mr. President visit our studio.
We'll go to a quick break. We'll just glance through the front pages of the newspaper. Still here on Breakfast Central. Do us a favor, stick around. You can call in as well. Don't forget, time left is reduced. But hey, let's do this after the break. Welcome back. The front pages of the newspapers is up next. We do have international journalist of repute, Mr. Habib Aruna, joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm sure you're joining us in the congratulatory messages.
And congrats for your brand new studio.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it. I was listening to your MD, and I was not too surprised because I know him. He has a fun history of managing stations like this. You know, he has paid his dues, and I wish him well.
He's a go-getter.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's start off first and go to our very first story because of time. I'd like us to go to the Tribune newspaper. Let's start off there. It says, bandits strike in Kogi as troops thwart terrorist attack in Chibok and others. Ekiti deploy security personnel in Kogi, Kwara boundary communities. And let's take this one, this very fresh one, which of course is making the rounds. Terrorism incubated under your watch, presidency replies Obasanjo. I don't know if you know about the story.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with that.
I was thinking that this will not be a bad issue. You know, this is an issue that concerns all Nigerians. Nigerians are concerned. We never, and many people are saying that we never really have it this bad. You know, and what Obasanjo said at a Christian gathering in Jos was a reflection of what people are saying in the country. For the presidency to have replied, I don't think it was Onanuga.
It was not
Sunday Dare.
Sunday Dare.
And I was thinking that It was just a passing comment by Dari. That is personal opinion. I don't think you should use it as a gamut reflection of what the president is saying. If it was from Onanuga,
things that the president is doing.
It was on Onanuga, I'll give it more premium. But Dari is not the spokesperson of the president, for God's sake. You know, just like in the White House, there are many people in the communication room, you know, people that communicate to the public. But there's a press secretary, you know, to President Trump. And anything she says will be seen as something that is coming from Trump. So I will not join that crowd by saying that what Dari said was a reflection. What people? No, I don't think so. Even at that,
leave the messenger and look at the message.
Even at that, Benga.
The message of former president.
Can't say President is not. How do you mean? We all know. We also what happened during Ambassador. There's nothing like this kind of what we are witnessing. Obasanjo was a military ruler, was a retired general, a military ruler. Now he became a military leader in 1999.
A civilian leader, rather.
Civilian leader in 1999. So Nigeria was not in a mess. We are not having this kind of challenges. Where was the challenge? Where was the security challenge?
What do you make of President Muhammadu Buhari being there for 8 years up until now? The accumulation. Late President Muhammadu Buhari being there for 8 years.
We had Obasanjo, we have Jonathan, Tareknom, then we have Buhari. Even Buhari, things were not this bad. And some are saying that simplistically, that what we are saying is political. But if it's political, the president he has a duty, you know, as I said on this program last week, to be decisive. I also said that I was not comfortable with the president negotiating with terrorists. I said so, which was echoed by the president and many Nigerians. You know, so I think it's not too tidy, right, for somebody to be talking about when this thing came up, this thing was planted when he was president. How? But it was very, very categorical and emphatic that Nigeria had the capacity to crush anybody that tried to disturb our peace and pose national threat. So that is what we should address. They should not be drawing us back that when the person was there, this one also bad. No. They cannot rewrite history. And I think the president is doing the right thing with the measures that are put in place to address these challenges. But they are still there. They are still there. And people are saying that what we are seeing is political, you know, instead of governance.
There's a story that has been conspicuously missing on the front pages of the papers. The
ambassadors. I'm wondering when they went to print.
I don't.
Yeah, because
it's missing in the papers. It should make the headlines, I think.
Absolutely.
What's your take on that?
It's a major thing.
Or maybe they discarded it knowing that maybe there will be a reversal again.
No, I don't
know.
But based on the
15 diplomats, 17 non-diplomats.
The problem that we have seen so far, some of the names are not too credible.
Example.
Some of the names are. I don't want to mention names.
No, you have to.
I don't want to mention names, you know.
And the people that don't want to know.
If you look at the former INEC chairman, he should not be there.
On what grounds?
The INEC chairman was just retired, just left the post. He just left the post, and by appointing him, it gives that impression that there was a party arrangement that has been going on.
We had it,
you know, and it's not even good. I'm thinking that the man will reject it.
So it's left
to reject it for the sake of democracy, the sake of the process, and the sake of transparency in our elections. But the bedrock of democracy is elections, and this man was in charge. He's pretended 2 major elections.
Mr. Aruna, we had
by rewarding him this kind of appointment, you are telling the whole world implicitly that good job, my guy, take this and go and rest.
We had a guest this morning, Mr. Nelson, who disagrees with you and says that he completed his tenure as INEC boss, that's a different assignment and mandate, and he didn't control all the structures of INEC independently. He worked with electoral commissioners and the people that felt they were cheated during the elections went to the tribunals, and the tribunal decided. So he has completed that assignment. This is a different assignment that we should not mix.
No. That argument is simplistic. This man just left office after superintending 2 major elections and other elections in Nigeria that people are not comfortable about. And for him to have been so rewarded without giving him time. You can even give him time. It's not just anybody. He was in charge of our elections, and this election has brought in the current president. I think there are other ways he will have been rewarded than giving this kind of position, ambassadorial. You want to represent Nigeria and its interest. So I don't think it's tidy. I think it places a moral burden on the part of those that are trying to appoint him. And I think if you have an independent Senate, that might not be cleared. But unfortunately, the Fabio Senate cannot query it.
Let's talk
Fabio is more afraid of his seat.
I mean, you've been in the system. Let's talk about political pragmatism and come to the reality of how this appointment happened. A lot of critics have said, this list has politically exposed persons, cronies, former ministers, former governors, even, and the friends and loyal party supporters of Mr. President, former First Lady of Ekiti State, for example, Erilu Adebayo, is also on the list. Pragmatically speaking and democratically speaking, how do you, because they say politics is a game of numbers, how do you make appointments without putting those who supported you or political sources in one way or the other, constitutionally?
Pragmatically, they're not even on what the president has done. The president has the right and duty to do what he wants to do. Because after elections, there are people that need to pay back, need to give something. This kind of things you need to give them back, to pay back. But after waiting for more than 2 years, go to 3 years now, is it what the president, is it what he can give us? And morally, there are some people on that list that should not be there. Morally, we need to be very careful. We need to weigh these things. You need to look at what the people will feel. What do we think about what?
Mr. Nelson Ekujimi said, are there any non-entities in the list?
Who said so?
Are there any people that have broken the law?
That is the opinion.
So having said
some of these people
have
cases in court of corruption.
But they've not been convicted.
But there are cases in court.
So does that make them a perfect choice to reflect or show as the right person to represent Nigeria?
To me, my opinion.
Without issues in court.
That's right. There is issues in court that have moral standing, the system, that pedigree, the background and qualification. That have been appointed. It's not everything that.
You want to go somewhere, but you have not really quite gone there. That morality, is it because somebody has openly criticized a person and then comes back
he will never
to support that person? Speaking from both sides of the mouth. Is it morality?
Omokri even said it before now that I will never take an appointment from President Tinubu.
But now
he's back.
Is that a moral issue?
No, it's a moral issue. It's a moral issue.
Yeah, but if you look at
if he's a man of principle, you say, no, it's what I've said before. I'm sorry, I appreciate you, Mr. President. I won't take this.
But we often
don't like Mahmoud for the sake of our democracy and sake of Nigeria.
We often look at
Mahmoud should not take this appointment.
Now, Mr. Arno, in Nigeria, we often look at the United States of America as a bastion of democracy, 200-year-old democracy, as the example to follow. In that same United States of America, the current Secretary of State, the most senior government minister, Marco Rubio, has said very unprincipled things about his principal, Mr. Donald Trump, today. But today he's serving on his government.
Rubio did not say.
And they said that it's only God. But to quote the words of Mr. Nelson Ekujimi, he said, God is the Ayimayewu, the one that will make a decision and not reverse it. As long as we are humans, we can reverse
the irreversible.
The reversible, exactly.
So the gentleman you're talking about,
cut them some slack.
The gentleman you're talking about is part and parcel of, is a co-travelers. of this government. So I can understand where he's coming from. And I'm sure that is his personal opinion. Marco Rubio was against Donald Trump when they were to the primaries together. But Marco Rubio did not say, I will not take appointment. I will never take appointment from
It's not
Trump.
my principle.
He didn't say that. So what you see, that is why the social media don't lie. Social media will
there is
there.
But can I say something?
I think we should be very careful in the way this thing is done. And I have to believe that before the list was sent out, the president scrutinized it very, very well. So that at the end of the day, tomorrow morning we wake up and see that some names are
presidential pardon to be sent out, and I believe
they said it was scrutinized, but then again, they had to take it back. And just to wrap things up.
But my opinion is, I don't think it's the best list we can get. The president, I'm waiting for up to 3 years. It's not the best we can get. There are better Nigerians that should have been appointed.
It's reminiscent of late President Buhari's ministerial list. After
Finally,
waiting for so long.
Just 1 minute, because we're out of time. Abacha Lut, EFCC seizes Malami's passport. Malami was squeezed over the weekend. He came out to say he has been released, but later on we found out that his passport was seized, and EFCC is looking at possibly inviting him back again. What are we seeing here?
All of a sudden, Malami had been invited. I was telling my wife, I said the same predictable playbook because he declared to contest for Kebbi election. He's a major character in the new opposition party, ADC. And I was asking my wife, tell me someone in APC that I've been invited of current.
We had former governor of Okowa.
Yaya Bello.
Yaya Bello. Okowa. We've not seen.
These guys are staying, enjoying themselves.
The file is
enjoying the loot.
They said the file is somewhere.
This is not too good for us. And you see, I don't know why.
But the issue is, why should you even
but I don't know why,
in the first place?
I don't know why we keep.
Why do you get your hands dirty
on this same road?
But shouldn't the issue be, why should you get your hands dirty?
No nation should.
And no one is beyond investigation.
Corruption.
Yes.
Yes. And if Malami is doing anything that is wrong, he should be invited and questioned. But it's too predictable.
God's time and EFCC's time is the best.
Is it predictable that once you are in the ruling party,
when they want to pull out,
all are forgiven, and once you are in a different party, challenging the ruling party, then suddenly the files are open, and you are invited.
Like those managing directors, there's in and out file. Your file will be up. Malami's file has been brought to the top.
To run a country.
Anyway,
because, according to Martin Luther King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Let's close this file on that of today's show. Yes, the file on today's show that has been closed. Jasiri is up next. Make sure you watch. And congratulations to you, Central, the brand new, spanking new Abuja studios. We'll be talking more about that and how you can also enjoy and benefit from our news broadcast. My name is Joe Hansen. We'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm being Bro Aniz Abib Aruna. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast.
Take care.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.